Well, hello everybody. This is another episode of ThinkShack, exploring memes to their extremes.
Your favorite podcast.
We're attempting to do radio voices because part of the motivation for us doing this podcast is that people keep telling us we have great voices. And as someone who doesn't have much more going on for him in life, that is really motivating. So I was like, you know what, let's milk this fucking opportunity. Sorry for cursing. We promised we wouldn't curse as much, but I want to milk this opportunity for all of its worth.
And we're also trying to attract more female listeners. So, hey baby, what's up? What are you wearing?
It doesn't really matter what your species
Put that
is,
in
as
the
long
comments.
as you're female.
Put that in the comment. What are you wearing underneath your hair? What, I don't even know what to put. Like that was a...
Like we were trying to go with it. You know when you do something and people think it's going in one direction, but it goes in like a totally different direction. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of things going in one direction and goes in different directions, we were cracking this joke before this because I don't remember what the context was, but like we were talking about like certain situations that happen and you just find yourself depressed and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go buy rope and kill myself. And without any hate to people with suicidal thoughts, our hearts go out to you. But it's kind of funny if you think about it, because like imagine you go out to buy rope for suicide and then you get frustrated by the whole process because there's no high quality rope out
I'm imagining a time lapse where someone is like shopping through with the fun jingles.
All the malls and department stores and supermarkets and Jumia and all of that. And they just can't find the right quality rope. Every rope they try just keeps snapping.
Just imagine the time lapse, like a whole video with some fun jingle elevator music. He's looking through the stores, finding a rope, trying to kill himself, but it
just becomes like a whole life story.
And
but
then here's the thing: to start a company because like no rope is working.
And that's the twist. Like imagine if you were so frustrated looking for rope to commit suicide, you're like, you know what? There's a serious gap in the market. I'm gonna start a rope making company, and that's like literally your billionaire origin story.
And you're like, I was about to kill myself, but then I found my calling.
There's just no rope. But that's the funny thing. If you started a company making rope, would it be rope for people specifically looking for rope for suicide? I'm sorry, we really enjoy dark humor. Would it be rope for people looking for rope for suicide or like just like general purpose rope?
That would have some really funny marketing if you think about it.
You're trying to kill yourself?
Go out in style.
Here's some high quality deaths at our stores.
It won't leave scars just for your family to look at you like. Anyways, let's rope this back in.
Oh, that was smooth. Okay, yeah, but seriously though, if you have any suicidal thoughts, our thoughts go out to you. You know, there's probably one of those like fast dial numbers out there. Please try it. Please tell your friends about it. I mean, generally we're all for dark humor, but we kind of feel like we have to add this because
just a disclaimer.
Yeah,
but before we get too serious, if you do have good ropes to recommend, go ahead and do that. We might as well have a brand sponsor who sells good ropes.
Yeah. Rope. So roping back, yesterday, which was like Saturday, the 11th of February, we went to a live recording of the Sandwich podcast, which is a really popular podcast. It's so popular that for the longest time, someone I know thought that it was the most popular podcast in the country because it was being promoted everywhere. It's not. Like it has like all of 35k subscribers or something right now as of speaking. But then we have like other podcasts like what's it called? The Mics Are Open with over 100k subscribers. Wow. So, you know, but it's a really cool podcast.
Over 25 has how many?
Probably closer to 150,000 something as of this recording. But then that's the thing. It's a really cool podcast because even with 35,000 subscribers, they did like this live recording show thing where the cheapest ticket was 800 shillings. And I guarantee you there were like a few hundred people at the winning post for that stuff.
I bought mine at 1,500. I was like,
you bought yours at 1,500? Jesus freaking Christ. And you didn't even see the recording. Why did they charge you 1,500?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I came late.
The thieves. Anyway, so like imagine I bet these guys took anywhere from like 300,000 to $1 million easily home off of just one night of recording.
I mean, that's good money.
My only problem was that, I mean, and this isn't like a problem with the Sandwich podcast per se. I guess it's just like a preference thing. If you're going to record a podcast, I mean, it's like a show. People are there to listen to you speak. There might be some interaction with the audience, but it's going to be within the context of the podcast. So like I would imagine like an auditorium or something of the sort would be better. Like it's almost like a performance, like a play or a movie or something. But this was like a whole open air thing where like I'm pretty sure like 90% of the audience wasn't even listening to the recording half the time.
Was there music?
There was plenty of music. I mean, during the recording, there wasn't music. It was just like they had these random games where like some random people had to come up and try to win the girl's heart on stage. And I don't know why that's a thing, but it was a thing.
I mean, wasn't it themed Toxic Valentine or something like that?
The theme was Toxic Valentines, right? Because Valentine's Day is coming up.
What are you guys looking
forward to? So I guess that makes sense.
What are you guys looking forward to doing on Valentine's Day? We're talking about how the expectation is for guys to take their girlfriends out, like
buy them gifts. And I remember the conversation, the way it went is that personally, I kind of like, I was telling you about this and you kind of like agreed.
You're a giver.
Exactly. I love to gift. But the funny thing is, it has to be self-motivated. Like if I'm dating and the girl comes and she's like, I need this and that, could you buy it for me? I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. You're like, no,
when you look at me, you see money? Is that
exactly. You just feel so used. But then if there is no asking and like this woman is just like, I mean, she could say what she wants.
Like Valentine's is the time of the year where the worst thing happens to your female friends. Like, oh, I got robbed at gunpoint. My kid is suffering. He has kwashiorkor. And let me tell you, all these sub stories are like, just because it's Valentine's doesn't mean like
you're the only friend I have in my contact list. But even with your own personal girlfriend, right? Like if the girl is asking or not asking, like if
she expects it.
Yeah. But then if you have like one of those girlfriends just like, oh yeah, I like this, and then just moves on with her life, no pressure, nothing, you will want to buy that shit for her. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I'd love to hear what the guys have to say about that, because personally, I kind of like feel like gift giving is one of those weird things.
It has to come from you.
It's like washing the dishes. You always want to wash the dishes up until someone tells you, could you wash the dishes? Fuck, no, I'm not.
Like, why do you want me to wash the dishes though?
Actually, you know what? Let me just check psychology today.
Yeah, what is that? What is that feeling like? If you ask, I feel offended, but if you don't, I feel like I should, or I feel like I want to.
Why is it harder?
But it would be so hard to find that query on Google. Like, how do you type
buy stuff? I'm literally typing it out as we speak. Why is it hard to buy stuff for my girlfriend? Right? For my girlfriend.
It's going to be the longest.
In Kenya? Why is the autocomplete? Why is it harder to buy stuff for my girlfriend in Kenya?
They know Kenyan girlfriends are difficult.
Why is it harder to buy stuff for my girlfriend
in Kenya than it is to buy my girlfriend in Qatar?
Because shit is imported in Kenya. It's expensive as fuck. Like, bro, just get a plane ticket and go buy her stuff in bulk in Qatar.
And the one in Qatar is probably like, her human rights are not being respected. So it's much easier.
So it's easier, right? Like, why is it harder to buy stuff for my girlfriend when she asks? And I'm just gonna search. So
what are the results? I feel like it's always good to look at the results, because Google sometimes is like, I don't care what you ask me, I'm just gonna tell you what I want to tell you.
Right. Okay. So there isn't so much. I mean, but there are like a bunch of articles about like 10 signs she's too high maintenance.
As you look for
or like, where do you draw the line when your girlfriend asks for money? Which I guess like I know where those articles are going. I know what direction they're going.
Yeah.
But like I guess what I want to know most specifically is there like a weird psychological aspect, like scientifically grounded, where like if someone asks you to do something for them, it is harder for you to do it than when you're self-motivated.
Let me take a crack at it. I think it's just because when someone expects you to do it, it becomes an obligation. Nobody loves to do their obligations. Nobody likes to pay taxes. Nobody likes to give to church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when it's self-motivated, like, oh yeah, I totally chose this.
And there's no limit. You can actually go overboard.
Nobody likes to drink hospice. But when you get the chance to buy it in the name of alcohol.
I'm not going to mention names, but I think
some brands of alcohol are literally hospice.
Some brands that start with a G, because there's many of them, so that leaves some ambiguity.
Yeah, and they rhyme with hillbillies.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Like literally drinking horse piss.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, also something else you kind of need to consider is that generally when someone asks you for something, they're trying to directly get value out of you.
Yeah.
And you do have this feeling where you're like, okay, so you want to get value out of me, but what have you done for me? But when like someone is just being themselves and trying to be the best version of themselves, like, fuck, I need to pay her back somehow. I need to be there for her. And that's probably a huge aspect of gift giving, right?
Yeah.
But if like, and it kind of like erases the transactional aspect of it, because like, imagine if your girlfriend cooked you like a really beautiful meal or gave you the most amazing hand job you've ever had.
Wow.
And then immediately after the hand job, she's like, hey, could you, buy me a car now?
I feel like that's different. You would be inclined to buy her a car, especially
Because you got the best hand job of your life.
Yeah, you can already start picturing how she's gonna be driving, or you're gonna be driving while getting a hand job at the same time.
While driving.
Yeah,
I can imagine the car crashes.
Like she misses the gear shifter and then grabs your.
Do not hand job and drive. That should be an ad. Public service announcement. Do not get a hand job and drive.
Public service announcement.
Yeah, but we need that on a t-shirt.
Oh, for
By
sure.
the way, at some point we're gonna start doing ThinkShack merch. Public service announcement.
That's so.
Do not blow job and drive.
One letter makes all the difference.
It's like when we came up with the whole chat gay PT.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Oh wow. So I was thinking, the audience, you ladies can try this as an experiment, because this is Valentine's week after all.
Yeah.
Try not to ask for what you want and see if your guy will get it. And then maybe next year, although this is like a very long experiment, but you can try it on another occasion, like your
Try
birthday.
it for the next 5 years. I mean,
Like
it's
your
always
birthday.
worth it to collect as much data as possible.
No, but
Please do not ask your boyfriend for anything for the next 10 years.
But you could try
And
it
tell
for
us.
your birthday or something like that and see how the results vary. Like literally, you might get it from not asking. But
Here's the thing, actually. If you want to do this proper research style, for Valentine's, don't ask for anything. For your birthday, ask for something. And then for Christmas, tell your boyfriend specifically not to get you something. That's the control group.
I'm trying to put myself in the position of the boyfriend who doesn't get asked anything. You start thinking, wait, how come she's not asking me for anything?
It reminds me of those memes that make the rounds about like your girlfriend hair is done, her nail is done, her
And
nails
you
are done,
haven't paid for it.
and she didn't ask. Like, bro, are you seriously dating that
Are
girl?
you dating that girl?
It's
or
so
not?
annoying though, because nobody ever sends the same meme to women. Like, look at your boyfriend, he's so well dressed and you didn't pay for any of those clothes. Are you dating him?
Like,
Which
nobody-
would be probably more relevant today,
yeah, for sure.
if you consider that guy who goes around having sex with men's mothers. I don't know if it's men's mothers or women's. But it's like
the guy who was
people's-
saying like you need to what was his thing?
Prussia something, bend over Prussia.
He said bend over. I think it was bendo. So he was
Bendo
like,
Prussia.
you need to pay the fee to roll with me or something like that. Wearing some tank top showing a lot
What
of
was his
cleavage.
name? Oh yeah, so
Oh,
it's
there
Bendo
he is.
Prussia. He's actually
How many followers
trending at
does
the
he have
moment.
now?
I don't know. I mean, is he on Instagram?
Like you just have to look weird and then say something.
There's this
crazy.
video where they're like doing an interview of him and he's talking about how
I
you
mean,
need
we
to
say
spend
a
money
bunch
on
of-
him, and then he's like, just look at me, and then he tries to take off his shirt, and
And
it
it
takes all
doesn't
of
work,
3
yeah.
years to take off the shirt. Say Bendo. I'm pretty sure it's got
It's gonna
Bendo
be-
Prussian.
How many followers? How many? 11.
I mean,
51?
no, I don't know if that's a real account, to be honest.
He's already got fake accounts? Bro, you
Probably.
made it if you've got fake accounts after you.
Yeah, exactly. There's also a Ben Dover.
Of course.
When
there
I
is.
search for Bendo, and it's followed by someone I know. But anyway, just getting back, because we probably are gonna go on like all sorts of tangents. Just coming back, like the general question for Valentine's is gifting easier when they specifically ask, or is it easier when it comes from the goodness of your own heart or from your own initiative?
And
or
if you
something,
know the
whatever.
name of that psychological phenomenon,
I
let
think
us
the
know.
transactionality of it
Probably.
is part of it. Because like, I mean, like, let's be honest, you know, and there's going to be pushback on this, I anticipate, but I don't care. Relationships, a lot of human relationships, not just romantic ones, are transactional
It has
at
to
their
be.
heart. But at the same time, the explicit pronouncement of this transactionality makes the relationship lose value. Like, for example,
Sex
we all know that
becomes
when you're going on
prostitution.
to the dating marketplace, right? You need to have something to offer. Either you're good looking or you have a great job or you're funny, blah, blah, blah. And
All
then
that
based off of that, you get like a girl who is a certain level of attractiveness and she
Yeah.
likes you because she thinks her value matches your value. That's a transactional relationship, because if you weren't any of the things she liked, she wouldn't like you. And if she wasn't any of the things you liked, you wouldn't like her. But at the same time, if you go explicitly on like a dating site, you're like, I have a really nice car and lots of money, it just looks like
It just
bad
looks like
taste.
you're saying, hey, I'm trying to buy your affection. I'm trying to.
Exactly.
I know you're a hoe.
All sex, all marriage, all relationships
It's
are transactional.
transactional.
But the moment you explicitly pronounce a transaction, it becomes prostitution.
The parallel is with churches and religion. Like it is transactional, really.
like
like
God will take you to heaven for like the price of 10% of your monthly
Okay,
income
there
or
is
whatever.
that, but then I'm talking about the churches. Like they're selling you all these theories, they're teaching you for money.
Exactly.
And tithe.
And giving you sort of like soulful nourishment, because they're supposed to make you feel like there's life after death. I'm so sorry again. You probably believe in life after death, but they're supposed to sell you all this promising stuff about how, there's an end to the suffering,
but
and you're going to make it.
Explicit about the fact that they're a business and they need to actually make money. Exactly. Speaking of businesses, something was in the news this week about a particular Betty Challo. It's pronounced Challo Kialo. Shallow.
This is one of my pet
shallow?
peeves.
Is she shallow?
This is one of my pet peeves about like local names. Yeah. And stay with me here, right? We inherited the current alphabet from the colonizers, the British, right? So the 26 letter alphabet, which means that if we're gonna have like any special ways of like writing words that are different from the way they're pronounced, they wouldn't make any sense. Like a lot of our stuff is going to be phonetic. It's pronounced the way it's written. Yeah. So where the hell did Kyallo become Challo instead of Kialo? Why the hell don't we just write it as Challo? I'd love to know.
It's a double L for me as well.
The double L is also a little weird. And we see a lot of these in the Kamba community. We see them in the Kikuyu community. Like for example, you come from Odero, but it's written Uthiru. Yeah. So like, why?
It's like Shiko, which is literally...
When did we like appropriate the U and make it an O? Or Shiku, C-I-K. Why the hell did we get the idea that the C is supposed to be a sh? Everything. Why don't we just write it as Shiko? I feel like
we got colonized so bad, like everything got taken over. Like even the way we say things.
Speaking of taking over, like Betty Challo's building
is being taken over.
Got taken over by the original landlords, who were Indian, interestingly enough.
So she owes 90 million for the rent. Apparently, she had rented out a business premise to be
called Magic Business Center,
which is quite interesting. Like you rent out a space that you yourself don't own. So she was paying like 7M a month, I imagine.
I mean, the concept of arbitrage isn't entirely foreign here. Like, for example, it makes a lot of sense. And we were talking about this before. You don't have to buy a whole ass building or build a whole ass building. Just get like the original owners. Because we were talking about this when we were discussing like Airbnbs. And one of the things people do with Airbnbs is you go rent an apartment and then sublet it and make money off of Airbnb on it. So I guess that's roughly the idea on a grand scale that Betty Challo is going for. So she goes and rents the building from the original owners on a lease, right? Where she's supposed to pay like something like, I don't know,
7 million a month, I think.
7 mil a month, right? And then she like partitions it into all of these shops, little stalls actually.
How many were they? Because she was charging like 7,000 a month, I imagine.
I mean, they have to be enough to cover a 7 million shilling rent and then some.
But weren't they though? Like the fact that her businesses don't seem to be doing that well, because she was in the news recently as well for not paying a software developer about a system she was saying was
the guy who was managing her software, like her accounting software.
That guy was smart. Apparently he went and got a free software, like some free software, and then told her like, I've customized it for you.
That's not unheard of though. Because for example, I'll tell you something right now. As someone with like a background in software engineering, if I wanted to like get an LMS is a learning management system. So like the stuff that does the grading.
It doesn't mean lick my shit.
Lick my shit. If I wanted to get an LMS, that sounds like a really good name for a
like a service you get
Lickmyshit.com.
It's like a service you get at a massage parlor. Like, LMS. Do you have the LMS today?
Do you have the LMS service?
Oh, yeah. Like, yes, sir. That is a fan favorite.
I remember this meme, right? Where this guy was like, my girlfriend works at a local barbershop. But so like today was her day off. And then I went to see her, and then I saw that they had like a happy ending. And I was like, so how much is that? Like 1,200, but the one who offers it is off today.
You fill in the blanks. It's gonna be your
The Lick My Shit service is offered by a girlfriend.
The LMS is not there. So LMS, what does it mean?
An LMS is a learning management system, right? So it's like just like school management software. And there's so many free versions of it. If you're like big on GitHub, you'll find there's so much open source software. But open source software is highly standardized for a general audience. So you're gonna go get it, customize it for the specifics of, the context that you're working within. And actually customizing shit, because like I've even got like shit as simple as like WordPress themes or like website templates, and I want to make a personal website. I don't want to write all the HTML for it. So I get like a template and then I customize it with all my data, and that can actually take a bit of time. I need to be compensated for that. So I don't think he was doing anything wrong doing that. Just because he got open source software and customized it doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be paid.
But that brings me to the fact that, the fact that she's not paying these people, she's not even paying the landlord, which is like a basic expense for a business.
Yeah.
It points to the fact that maybe these might actually be money laundering schemes, because yes, you set up a business, but then you don't necessarily do the maintenance. You don't necessarily do the
possibly
the day-to-day
or
administration.
Alternatively, because the money laundering thing, with all due respect, I feel like might be a bit far-fetched. It could be as simple as she just has a really lavish lifestyle.
But where does she get the money from? She was a news anchor. They don't pay that much as far as I can tell.
So she starts businesses, takes all the proceeds, doesn't pay her workers because she is furnishing or what's the word? Funding a lavish lifestyle. And then in the process, of course, you're gonna have shit accounting.
Let's look at Rap Sheet. She has what is this? Flair. I think that's his hair salon.
Flair by Betty.
And then there's
that's the salon company, actually, isn't it?
And then there's an aftershave company, and the one that she's in hot water for is
Magic Business Center.
What kind of name is Magic Business Center though? It sounds like a.
Magically lost money, but
here's
some magic business. We don't know how it works, but somehow
you put your money in it and it disappears.
I'm a magician, baby. I can make your money disappear. Right. So basically the idea, just to get back to the point, the idea is that she was supposed to lease this from the original owners, partition all the stalls and then rent them out, right? And I think she had a bunch of partners. And then a year down the line, she hasn't been paying the rents, and the owners decide to move to court to reclaim the business building. When they do that, now remember, they are going to get the lease agreement between them and her canceled, right? But at the same time, they have all these tenants who they didn't sign up. So they require the tenants, if you want to keep staying here, you got to sign a new lease agreement, which means new rents, new deposits. And that leaves a bunch of people really angry because they really trusted Betty Chalo with all of this.
But we were doing some kind of background research. And another thing that leads me to believe the whole money laundering theory is the fact that this business, the original lease, was registered under pharmaceutical company or something like that.
Now, that's the thing. Actually, the building's original name is Fashion Plaza for some weird reason. But she called it the Magic Business Center. I guess Fashion Plaza is the original name from the owners. And I'm looking at the original letter, right? So the original owners are known as Nishapa Investments Limited, right? And this building is known as Fashion Plaza, erected on land reference number 209/1829. This is is it View Park Towers or something? It's just some random place in town.
Yeah.
And what happened is that when she rented out this when she rented out this land, right? The name of the business, this building, the name of the business under which she rented it was Troy Medicare Pharmacy Limited. That is the actual tenant.
So that's some shady stuff.
Because if you were renting it out in order to sublet, I would imagine you'd call it Betty Chalo Investments or something. Why would you name it like a pharmacy?
Pharmaceutical?
For a whole entire building.
And that's what leads me to believe there might be some shady business going on with Betty Chalo, because she has been been known to date some very influential people who themselves have questionable backgrounds. So I do believe that the whole Betty Chalo is in money laundering. It does hold some water, I think.
So, okay, so I heard this news on Edgar O'Barry some time back, but you know what? I'm not going to name names or pull shit out of my ass, but I'll give you a general gist of how it works.
Yep.
A lot of these celebrities opening up salons and nail parlors and beauty spas and all of
massage
that. Massage
parlors.
Massage parlors. The story was you have these money launderers, right? And they're getting money through illegal means and they need to somehow legitimize the money, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is they get these girlfriends, celebrities.
Exactly.
They give them a bunch of money to run it through the business as capital, and then they're gonna get a portion of the profits. Exactly. So now the money would be reported as revenue from the business, which is a great way to launder money. And I heard that a lot of well-known influencers may actually be funding their really lavish spas and parlors through this particular business model.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you launder money. In the UK, they have something similar, but there is more like money mules. They'll find regular people like you and us, and they'll be like, "Hey, is your bank account healthy? Let me run some money through your account, and then you can keep $2,000."
Yeah, so it's $8,000. I'll just deposit it directly, and then you'll send me $6,000 to a bank account
just
of
to
my
clean
choice.
Up the money. So she might be a money mule.
Exactly.
It sounds like a kid's bedtime story.
love story. Mommy, we want to hear about.
Speaking about money laundering.
So once upon a time in a faraway land, there was a. But yeah, I mean, I totally get your point, and I agree. So. Speaking of which, like the segue for this is like talking about like some serious cases of money laundering and fraud on large scale that have happened recently that a lot of people don't know about.
Nakumatt and
Naivas. So Jean and I recently like stumbled upon this channel by this great guy. By the way, you guys should go follow him. And we're going to plug him in the description. His name is Jeff Kafka. And it's Jeff with a PH. So JEPH and then KAFKA.
Jeff Kafka.
Jeff Kafka.
Sounds like you're joking.
I'm Jeff Kafka. But he has like a really weird way of pronouncing things.
Bunk. The way he says bang.
So many bunks have been robbed.
It sounds like he has a bit of constipation. I mean, we're literally plugging this.
He's
guy
constipated with knowledge. Because he's got some serious facts.
Like, this is the bunk.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Go.
But he's a really great guy. Like, I personally think he's probably, like, he's charting a great path for Kenyan content where we actually get, like, some really in-depth, well-researched stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, which is what hopefully we're going to do with, like, our channel. But the idea was, like, Nakumatt and Naivas, and actually not Naivas, sorry. I'm so sorry to Naivas. Naivas is fantastic. Nakumatt and
Tuskies, my lord. I literally thought it was Nakumatt and Naivas.
I mean, there's a small relationship there between Nakumatt and Naivas because it just so happens that the person who owns Naivas is the younger brother to the person who owned Tuskies.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun. But anyway, the way it goes with Nakumatt, like you know, Atul Kumar Shah was like the chairman of the board or whatever the hell, the guy who started Nakuru mattresses, which ended up as Nakumatt.
Yeah.
So Atul Shah was, the child to Mandalal Shah, who came to Kenya like in 1965 or whatever.
We are butchering these names, but forgive us.
Yeah, exactly. And basically what happened is his father had to declare bankruptcy at some point because like his business was running purely on credit. He was like supplying textiles to Uganda. And we're talking about Atul Shah right now.
Yeah.
But the debtors weren't paid, the creditors weren't paying, and the creditors were demanding payments, so the father had to declare bankruptcy. So Atul Shah and his brother, who I forget his name, decided to start selling like bed sheets and stuff.
That's why it was called Nakuru mattresses?
Well, at first it wasn't actually called Nakuru mattresses. It was some Furmats. So it was Furmats.
That's a better name.
And they would like sew this stuff at home and then they would like sell them, right? And then they had like an uncle who owned Nakuru mattresses. And at some point they decided to like... join forces, but because like Furmat did so well, they managed to pay off their father's 1.2 million shilling debt, and then they bought Nakuru mattresses from their uncle who relocated to the UK. And I'm getting all of this information from Jeff Kafka's channel, by the way. Like I literally did not research this shit. Jeff Kafka did the job. I just memorized his video, so you guys should check out his YouTube. And then what happened is Nakuru mattresses really grew. So instead of like just selling bed sheets and stuff, they started selling pots and pans, cutlery, it just slowly grows into a supermarket.
More
basically.
Than mattresses.
Eventually they spread out and Nakuru mattresses get shortened to Nakumatt and so on. And Jeff Kafka points out at some point, now before Tuskies came up, Jeff Kafka points out at some point that after 10 years of running the shop, Nakumatt was like on the ascension, to heaven or whatever.
Were they in the billions already? Because I feel like their ascension was really quick.
It was like I mean, this is like from 1970 to 1988. So they haven't like really blown up, but they've been growing so well. And Atul tells his brothers, you know what we have here? It's a baby elephant. And we're going to grow this elephant so big, it'll be able to crush all competition. It'll be like, I don't know, the king of the jungle or whatever. Exactly. And that's where the elephant in the Nakumatt logo comes from. Right. So they expand Nakumatt really well, but then they quickly realize that just like doing it the straight and narrow path of paying taxes
is a long way to success.
Exactly, and they were too ambitious. So like, how the hell do we pay less taxes than everybody else? So these niggas, Atul Shah, exactly, come with the bright idea to create a bank, and they call it Charterhouse Bank.
Sounds like a whole series on Netflix.
It is.
Narcos.
Like there should be a whole documentary.
It's kind of like Narcos, but Narcos, because Nakumatt.
On the rise and fall.
Narcos.
The rise and fall of my dick. I mean, the rise and fall of I feel like the rise and fall as a phrase would really go well with like your dick.
Yeah.
I came, I saw. All right, so I came.
I conquered, I conquered, then came.
And then I came.
The order is wrong.
It's like
if you came, you saw, you conquered. That's premature ejaculation to the max. You came before you saw. Was it a glory hole?
Or it's like when you masturbate before having sex because you got to release a single before releasing an album.
You came, you saw, and then you
ever
conquered.
notice that when you masturbate just before having sex, the sex lasts so much longer?
That's a strategy, actually.
Exactly.
Full of tips today.
So I came, I conquered, and then I saw that I probably could last longer than usual. But anyway.
Let's get back to Nakumatt.
Coming back to Nakumatt, right? So they start a whole
Coming back to Nakumatt.
They start a whole bank called Charterhouse Bank. Right? And Charterhouse Bank, the whole idea behind it was they would get revenue from Nakumatt supermarket, funnel it into Charterhouse Bank, which had a lot of nameless, faceless accounts, right? And then they would report losses on Nakumatt's books because where's the money? We don't have any money.
Clever when you think about it.
And when they report losses, then they don't pay tax, so they pay much less tax. And at some point, there was a CBK governor, I forget the name because I'm not a memorizing machine, guys. We'll have to go watch the video to get
Let's just call him, it was a CFO.
No, it wasn't a CFO. It was the president of the central bank or something.
Okay.
And the idea was he figured out hey, Nakumatt is 20 times more profitable than Uchumi. It's expanding like crazy. And yet it pays less than a fraction of what Uchumi pays in VAT. And generally it's
a solid business.
Yeah, exactly. If you're reporting losses, how are you expanding so fast? Even into other territories, they open a branch in Kigali, Rwanda, then they open another one in Uganda. These guys were expanding and going around.
So this guy, to go back to our earlier joke, he had learned the ropes.
He had learned the ropes. The rope jokes are just coming, right? So the idea was that what Nakumatt would do, or what they would do with Charterhouse Bank, is they'd funnel all this money into these nameless, faceless accounts, pass them through international money laundering schemes, take them to tax havens and stuff, and then they'd find their way back to Atul Shah and company. Actually, Atul Shah did this with his cousin who used to own Kingsway tires, Wow. So it's like a whole Shah family thing. The Shah family, by the way, if you go back to India, is well known for business and leadership. It's like a specific caste in India. So
if you know a Shah, ask them for money.
Yeah. Actually, it's like that Burna Boy song. I need Igbo and Shah.
I need Igbo and Shah.
I need an Igbo and a Shah in my life. Because the Nigerians are also really great when it comes to illegal.
You need a Shah. Maybe you need
I need a Shy Ho too.
Shy Ho Shah.
What the hell is a Shy Ho supposed to be like though? It's okay, you can pay me, but switch off the lights.
Yeah.
I'll give you sex for payment.
She wants you to come before you see and conquer.
It's okay, but don't suck my boobs.
Yeah. I'm a shy ho.
How are you a shy ho? So anyway.
If you're a ho, in the comments, let us know. This one is probably not going up to the podcast.
I mean, some of it could, but most of it isn't.
Most of it isn't.
Yeah.
Especially the Betty Chan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because she has money and she.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna have to tell Trevor to just cut off these parts when
Trevor might actually want to keep them.
But anyway, what I was saying is, so Charterhouse Bank started to become a whole situation. So it was not only laundering money for Nakumatt, getting illegal loans for them and stuff, but it also had accounts for hire for a lot of other money laundering schemes. There was W.E. Tilley, the fish selling company that is tied to so many scams and frauds. Like Imperial Bank and stuff. There were a lot of politicians who were trying to launder their money and legitimize it, who would hire accounts in Charterhouse Bank and stuff. It all came to a head when finally the law caught up and Charterhouse Bank was, investigations began and funds started getting frozen. And when Nakumatt could no longer access these funds, it couldn't pay suppliers, it couldn't pay its rent, it couldn't pay salaries, and the whole house of cards started to blow down. And this was sometime in 2017.
That was a while ago.
So that's money laundering on such a huge scale.
A huge scale for multiple years, decades basically.
Yeah. And here's where we talk about the Tuskys connection.
Tuskys was modeled right after Nakumatt. Even Tuskys, the name
owner
itself,
of Tuskys used to be an employee of Atul Shah and company, and they liked him so much they gave him capital to start Tusker mattresses.
Tusker, you get the reference to the elephant that Nakumatt is
And Tuskys would get really cheap capital from Charterhouse Bank. They used to bank with them. But now what
Did they
happened
ever
actually with
compete at the end?
Tuskies? Yeah, with Tusk. I mean, of course they were competing, but it was like friendly competition. Yeah, but with Tuskies,
Probably get
it's not
kickbacks
the
as well.
what happened with Tuskies. Like the road to the bottom is because a lot of their banking and a lot of their easy credit was got from Charterhouse Bank. When Charterhouse Bank went under investigation and accounts were frozen, Tuskies no longer had access to all these easy funds, and so they started defaulting on like payments to suppliers and rent and the same thing, right? And around this time, the owner of Tuskies, again, I forget his name. I'm so sorry. I'm shit with names. He dies. And then there's like this whole sibling rivalry that goes on in his family over who gets to succeed.
External managers.
Exactly. And then it's just the beginning of the end.
In the public when they had that external manager, then the family members were out at his door like begging for his blood. Because
the CEO, right?
That was the height of the scandal.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you've got like this whole situation where some of the siblings are just like siphoning funds out of the supermarket for their own personal use. So, there's also a lot of like mismanagement and embezzlement of funds.
It's crazy to think that with all this, people will still come at you on social media and say, it's all God. I thank God for helping me get to this success.
That's Betty Chalo, isn't it?
Yeah, but also like the managers.
Everybody invokes God when they do like politicians invoke God right after they they get like they get acquitted over corruption allegations, which they were guilty of.
Or human rights abuses.
God, man.
I don't want to get.
God's got to be really corrupt for him.
There is one in particular who is a very high-ranking individual in politics right now. The highest ranking, I should say, actually. He has a habit of crying in church.
We're not gonna name names.
We're not gonna name names because we might just find someone knocking at our door and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
what was that joke you made about maize?
Yeah, come on, let's take it to Kijabe Forest.
Kijabe Forest, ran up
Franco Begi, we're so sorry you died, man.
Imagine what they're like in heaven right now, like chilling there without nuts.
I know. So like the thing is here that a lot of people love to invoke God because they know that we have a soft spot for religion.
Africans.
So the minute someone's like, God will fight for me or God fought for me, everyone's like, oh yeah, he's got to be innocent because why the hell would you invoke God? If the thing was like, if I'm lying, let God strike me down, I feel like God is probably like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Because like everyone always invokes the name. But anyway, he's talking about people who went and met their makers. Unfortunately, this weekend, one of Africa's great musicians or celebrities, AKA,
he got shot.
He got AK'd.
Oh my God. AK-47.
Well,
I'm so sorry.
That laugh was way too enthusiastic for the topic.
We've done this so many times before.
Rest in peace, AKA. Rest in peace, Chiloba. We respect you. We love you.
But then that said, though, we had like this whole conversation over was he conscious or not? Because he got shot in the back of the head and we're like, how long was he conscious? Like, was it really a painful death?
I feel
and we started talking about like the guillotine in like the French Revolution.
I feel like it was instant. As much as his death was visceral, you saw a lot of blood and everything. And that's why I brought up the study. Back when guillotine was like the standard execution method.
During the French Revolution. For those who don't know what the guillotine is, because it's like a whole like European thing, and we're
pronunciation might vary as well. So
it's guillotine if you want to like pronounce it like as it is written. But
guillotine.
Yeah, the guillotine killed him.
I'm sure there's a kid in Kisumu called Guillotine.
Guillotine
Odiamo. Guillotine Kujapo.
BBI.
It sounds like such a nice name, like Jill, but then it's actually a device used to kill people.
It's so funny though. I mean, like a quick segue. How do you determine, especially when you're picking an exotic name, whether it's supposed to belong to a girl or a boy? So is guillotine a girl's name or a boy's name?
You just go with the traditional associations. Like, how many people do you know named? I don't know.
I mean, how many people do you know named BBI? So if you name your kid BBI, you have literally no precedent, no reference.
I guess BBI has Bibi, then Bibi means wife in Swahili.
Okay, fine. Constitution.
BBI. Bibi Mayai.
Because like there's probably kids somewhere named Constitution.
Probably. There's one in
Would you
Spain
name your
called
girl Constitution or your boy?
No. But there's one in Spain which actually led to the rules being changed in Spain about naming kids. His name was Juan Calzón, which Calzón means underwear. Why would you name your kid underwear?
Juan Calzón.
It's like John Goda.
John Thong.
John Thong.
I'm John Thong.
Johnson Thong. Imagine
Johnson Thong Kinuthia.
Imagine if that was like a super badass person. Like he wouldn't even have the James Bond kind of thing. He's like, what's your name? thong.
Coming back to guillotine or Diambo. Yeah. What happened was with the guillotine, like it was like this blade, right? That falls down at an insane speed.
Very heavy as well. It was
exactly. And like basically put your head in there and just like falls and it's like a clean slice. Your head and it's almost like, like a knife through butter.
So because of how visceral it was, people thought it was inhumane. And then they did a study to just try and I guess campaign against it. Exactly. But then the scientists who did the study did some experiments with the head that had just been literally chopped off, right, to see if it was responsive, and they were able to conclude that the head was like the person was completely brain dead as soon as the impact like landed. As soon as the head came off.
How did they determine that though? Because I remember we had this debate and I was like, I read something different and they were like, actually a decapitated head maintains consciousness for a few seconds after decapitation.
You said this,
and there was like this apocryphal story of like this countess or something where after she got decapitated by the guillotine, the guy holding up her head slapped her cheek and she blushed,
which is a weird reaction.
Her face flushed,
which is a weird reaction to a slap. Like, what was that countess doing in her life?
No, but then again, I mean, like naturally, if someone slaps you, your face is gonna flush.
Oh,
you like blood rushes to your face, like a weird reaction. It's embarrassment mixed with pain and stuff. Your face,
mostly embarrassment.
You even frown, and her face literally frowned as she was flushing, or at least as a story.
But then, why was she crying then? Why wasn't she crying? If she had been decapitated, she would have been crying because she was feeling pain, right?
I mean, how many people do you know who cry after a slap?
Well, I mean, no, I'm talking about the slap that made her cry. Like the pain of the decapitation should have made her cry.
Unless it wasn't painful. I mean, unless decapitation is not necessarily painful. Because the argument here isn't whether the decapitation is painful or not.
It technically was.
Whether or not you are conscious after decapitation.
Well, they wanted to find out if it was humane enough. So if there was a lot of pain or significant pain, it would have to be changed, obviously. But it turns out there wasn't. And that's my argument, saying like, if there was pain, she would be crying. Like if she was slapped, I think that was just like the reflex, like how you have frogs' legs, they still respond to electrical impulses even after they've been cut, like hours later. Or a chicken running around with its head off. I
mean, that's the debate. Like, was it like genuine consciousness, or is it just like a case of like after death reflexes? And I guess that we kind of like concluded like you would never know, simply because the only real source of truth over whether consciousness is maintained after death or not is the person dying. And you'll never be able to know because you can't ask them the question.
What's the best way to die?
I think in your sleep, oblivious.
But that could be traumatic though, because imagine how many ways you could die in your sleep. You could choke. I've choked in my sleep. No, I mean like
peacefully. Of course, I'm going
sleep apnea.
I'm going for the most peaceful kind of death. Like you have a dream, a good dream, no nightmares.
You're skiing.
Of course, it's not like Freddy Krueger type shit, like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like you are in a dream. Maybe you see a light, you go into heaven. It's all frolicking and porn and
oh my goodness, and 77 virgins
and 77 virgins, 70 boys. Virgins. Oh boy, no, that would be disappointing. That would be a nightmare. Yeah. Imagine if you get like, 70 virgins in heaven and they're all boys.
How do I wake up from this dream?
Exactly. Like it's a good dream. You're dying peacefully in your sleep, no pain. I think that would be a good death because ultimately nobody, like, let's be honest, of all the people who've died, and I know I'm talking out of my ass because I've never died and I've never talked to someone who's died, but of all the people who've died, nobody cares the impact of their death after they're dead because they're dead. They don't care. It's all about how you get there. Actually, if you think about like everyone's fear of death, it's not death per se. It's about how you get to that place.
If you think about it, death is actually worse for the people who get left behind, right? Because if you think about dying, like this is an interesting conundrum. Like you're in a situation, let's say it's a hostage situation.
Right.
Who dies first? Everyone would be offering, like if it's your family, for example, everyone would be like, no, take me instead. Although that is technically the easier option for you because you won't be left behind with the pain of remembering, oh, I watched my family member get shot.
Exactly.
So it's
I mean, it's by that logic then, like if you're ever in a situation where someone's like, you're all gonna die, but you gotta choose who dies first, it's probably in your best interest to want to die first.
You want to die first because you don't want to see that shit.
Deal with the trauma of you gone. So you'll be gone. You don't care.
So it is quite unfortunate what happened to AKA, and there's a lot, not a lot, but then there's a few theories I'm hearing about what happened. Is like his ex-fiance apparently had committed suicide, but the family was adamant
apparently
that he did not,
allegedly,
like she did not commit suicide. She was with AKA, but probably pushed her off.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the level of bitterness some people are associating with this family.
Right.
Let's show you guys in Nairobi. It's Valentine's.
So it might like have been a revenge killing.
And it's Valentine's. You guys might have psycho girlfriends or their families might be psycho. So
I would advise you not to get into trouble with any psycho girlfriends because I've heard stories about psycho partners and they are scary. Like
give us
someone was telling me a story recently about we actually have to do meme review.
We already did the Mr. Bendover guy. That was our meme review.
That was our meme review?
Yeah, Mr. Hotcake. That's what he called himself. You have to have the feet to roll with me.
How many minutes have we been recording?
It's almost been 45 and we're almost...
oh my God. It felt so short because we've 45. Talked so much.
Oh my goodness. It's this is...
It's so great because you get carried away by the conversation.
That's how it should be.
I would love for us to like do 2-hour podcast recordings at some point.
We'll probably end up to a point style. Where we do a live recording like the Sandwich Podcast. Speaking of, remember
Hopefully
that
we get there one day.
What are they called? The Sandwich Podcast guys. There's 3 of them, right?
There's the I remember you were making
the guy with a straight face and the guy who with the picture was like,
and the guy who was baring his teeth laughing, like you can hear him laugh through the pictures, like,
and it looked like he was an animalistic thing. He's threatening us.
He's baring his teeth. In nature, in the animal world, when an animal bares its teeth at you like it's smiling, it's actually a threat. It's not happy. It's a threat. Like, have you ever seen a dog bare its teeth at you? It's not happy. It's not smiling at you, bro. That thing is about to bite the shit out of you.
So that
Get away from that.
How we're gonna close up this episode. It's been fun. It's been real. We don't know if we're gonna post it, but we're gonna post some sections about it. Like probably use some snippets.
Yeah,
most probably. But
and we'll probably cut out all the parts where we body shaming shit.
Yeah. It's not body shaming. It's body critiquing. I think we could call it.
We're body critiques.
So thanks for having Thanks for having us. Thanks for joining us, guys.
This is like episode 5 or 6 now,
and we still don't necessarily know what we're doing, but we thank you for coming along with the ride.
And we cannot wait to get to 100 subscribers. Simply because I mean it's like very few subscribers for us. A huge milestone.
It's a huge milestone
because like we are literally just like shooting the shit here. So to know that so many people actually find us entertaining would be humbling to say the least.
And maybe we could do like 100 subscriber special. We can have
what
like
would we do for the 100?
We can have one of our subscribers come and join us.
That's a good idea.
So if you want to get to be that subscriber, like get that number up as high as possible, as soon as possible.
Yeah. This
has been the ThinkShack. This is Jean.
And this is Neil.
Well,
this is Morpheus.
You mentioned my name a couple of times in the thing, so.
Okay, fine. This is Rams. You know what? Fuck it.
No,
We've been doing this anonymity shit for too long and it's not working. I mean, we still won't show you a video. Fuck you. But like
we are doing BTSs by the way, so those are super entertaining. We're going to go to different places. Keep a lookout for those ones. We have a lot more content coming up, so stay tuned.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.